B. Frank Network.
Welcome to another very special episode of HNA. We have a return guest who I deleted his last episode, but I am going to put it back up because it was an accident. And I want you guys all to hear how pathetic I was. What was that, 1.5, 2 years ago?
Well, wait, I didn't even realize that you deleted the episode. I've been on a couple times. Is this the episode with your ex?
Listen, I made a mistake. And I did like a select all, and I thought I hit archive, but I hit delete on all of them.
Okay.
Whoops. So I've been inviting people back that I had on that everyone loved, and then re-releasing the episode. But I gotta say, everyone, this is Thomas Whitfield. I forgot this. Yes, you have on a few times. So I was like, pulled it and I saw it. I saw the old episode and I was like, ooh, cringe. Do I really want to put this one back up? And I'm gonna.
So I have to ask, what part of it, looking back on it, do you think made you cringe?
Are you kidding?
No, I'm serious.
Okay, so we had that conversation of what are your must-haves in relationships? And then I said them, and it was all things that George wouldn't do. And I still was like, I still want to be with you. Ooh.
So I like that you are looking back on this and reflecting on it, though, because I think that that's something that happens a lot in relationships. And I remember that part vividly because I think that I reflected it back to you. Like, so you're saying you want this, 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 and this, and he's saying he wants this, 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 and this. What do you make of that?
I was like, square peg, round hole, let's jam it, you know?
I think we can make it work.
You have a podcast with our good friend, Justin Perez, where he won't let you talk about 90 Day Fiancé. And you also are, can I officially call you doctor yet?
Oh, yeah, I'm officially a doctor.
A doctor, Dr. Thomas Whitfield. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it. It's on all my emails. Like when my patients email me, it's Dr. Whitfield this and Dr. Whitfield that. And it's something that I'm getting used to.
That's awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
And
I'm proud of me too.
Good.
I am.
Do you really feel proud of yourself?
Yes.
Good.
And you know what? And I honestly think I don't feel weird saying that at all. I think that people should be more proud of the things that they accomplish. I worked really fucking hard for 9 years to get my PhD. And, you know, I bartended for the vast majority of it. I worked my ass off. I totally changed my life. I'm still in a lot of debt from school, but, you know, I had to go from making a lot of money bartending to making very little money for years, which is difficult to do, especially in New York City, to kind of downgrade your life when you work so hard to try to afford your own place. And I am very proud of myself for making those changes. It was not easy.
Yeah. Are you still in your relationship?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, just over 7 years now.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I really thought the Pennsylvania thing was going to break you up.
Yeah, well, you were fucking wrong, weren't you? We actually didn't even see each other for about 3.5 months once COVID started in March, because he is extremely close with his mother, who's obviously older, and he like just very strict rules about like, I don't want to risk it. I need to see my mom. Like, you know, it's just don't come back for these weekends. So I actually did not see him until I moved back in June. So when I had finished my internship, so it was about 3.5 months where we didn't see each other, but it was fine.
That's I think I wouldn't be able to, like, me personally, I wouldn't be able to handle that. I'd be like, are you kidding? You're picking my... But also I saw a TikTok today that made me laugh out loud, where it was like all of us being careful and protecting our grandpa. They use grandpas, and the guy was like double masked up. He's spritzing himself. They were all like dunking, and there's like my grandpa at the grocery store, and he's got his like mask fully pulled down. He's like adjusting his glasses and touching stuff. Like, I was like, yes, old people did not do well in this.
Well, and the thing is at that point we had been together for almost 6 years, and it was the beginning of the pandemic. Like, this is, you got to remember, it seems like a long time ago, or maybe not so long ago, but this was when people were like washing their cereal boxes coming home from the grocery store. Like,
Yeah.
no idea how things were really spreading. I was working like 50 hours a week, a lot of it from home for internship. So then I would leave work on Friday, drive 3 hours to get to New York, and then leave Sunday afternoon to drive 3 hours back. And I was doing it about every other weekend. So then when we decided to take this break, it was the last few months of internship, had a ton of new friends in Pennsylvania. And I was like, that's fine. Like, we've been together for so long. We talk every day. Like, it's going to be fine. And it was totally fine.
Yeah, you guys are good. Damn it. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I don't think it's always. I think that we have a little bit of an unconventional relationship in the sense that we've been together for 7 years. We don't live together, and we do not have any immediate plans of living together at this point. Like, I'm about to sign my lease for another year in this apartment. I think we're moving in the direction of potentially buying a place and then moving in together. But we're just both very independent people and have a lot going on, and like are supportive of each other being independent and want each other to be happy. And this is just sort of what works for us.
Don't you think you should test run it though before you guys buy a place together? Like, to see if you should live together?
I don't know. How's that worked for you?
Hmm. Interesting take.
So there's actually a good amount of research that shows that when people live together before they like buy a place together or get married or whatnot, that they have less that the chances of them actually getting married go down.
Interesting.
And so you could look at that and think, oh, well, that's because they're just really getting to know each other and then they can't stand each other. Or it could be that they have just taken the time and made the commitment. And then once they've made the commitment, they're kind of sticking to it. And at this point, after 7 years, like, I mean, I stay there at his place quite a bit. He stays with me. Like, I don't think we're hiding that much from each other.
You guys know that you guys snore every once in a while when you have a cold or whatever it is.
Yeah, like, I know there are certain things that I do that bug him, and there are certain things that he does that drive me nuts. Like leaving the cupboards open in the kitchen. I don't know why he does it. It's like fucking poltergeist. I don't know what happened. He'll like go in there to get something, and then I'll step in there and like 10 cupboards will be open. but that's like one of the things that I find annoying, but potentially one of the worst things. So like, there's really not that many things that we do. You know what I mean? Like, you can get over that. That's different than him like fucking other people.
For sure. Can you believe I am in like a real relationship? And he holds my hand. That was one of my must-haves. Makes out a lot. He's super hot. Unreal.
I did not know this was going on.
I know. That's why I was like, let's have you back on. Let's talk about this. I met him on Instagram.
Okay.
So Corinne Fisher, if you're listening, there's hope on Instagram. I
mean, I don't think she cares. I don't think she really wants.
I know. She posts.
Well, that's not true. She's in a relationship now.
She posts about relationships a lot, and then I'm like, I don't think you give a fuck. Everyone go listen to Guys We Fucked with Corinne Fisher, or actually Without a Country also with Shane Smith. That's another Happy Never After favorite.
I think that one of the things that Corinne kind of talks about on the podcast and off the podcast, though, is like kind of women not giving up certain aspects of themselves to be in a relationship. I think that she enjoys being in a relationship when it works, but she's also just like not willing to sacrifice aspects of herself that she loves to make some guy comfortable. So, and I think that that's actually really healthy, because I think her outlook is more so like, I don't need to be in a relationship. And a lot of the people that I work with in therapy do come in and they're like, why am I not in a relationship? I need to be in a relationship. I have to be in a relationship, and sort of have this prerequisite of, I'm not going to be happy until I'm in a relationship. And that is definitely not how Corinne is. She's like, I'm happy, and if I end up being in one, that's great. If I'm not, I'm still happy, which I think is the more healthy
for
kind
sure.
of view.
She honestly has so many things that are so admirable as a woman, as a human. She thinks she's attractive, which is so healthy. She works on her dreams. She follows through on everything. Like, she's killer.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably she probably is the most dependable person I've ever met in my entire life, which is which is probably why we're best friends, because we are both really dependable. I will be on time more than she is, but she's gotten much better at it. But she will show up. She's not someone that says that she will do something and then doesn't do it. And that's a huge pet peeve for me.
I feel like people that don't show up or are habitually late are not, it's like a trust thing for me. It's like they're not reliable, and it weighs on their, like, my trust meter. I'm like,
so you kind of jump to some conclusions there.
Do I? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like someone being late doesn't necessarily mean that they're not reliable. They may just be someone that's late.
It's so rude. I know that's not about being reliable, but I need someone I prefer people in my life that are going to be there and on time. To me, maybe, yes, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is jumping a little too far, but I always think maybe I can't put all my eggs in their basket because they're not going to be someone that I can rely on later.
Well, I think how you respond to it is really important too. So if you have a friend or you're dating someone or whatever, and they are always late, you can bring that up and talk to them about it, and maybe they're going to change it or not change it. But if they decide that they're not going to change it, that kind of puts the ball in your court, and you're like, okay, so this is who they are. This is something they do. Am I going to continue to get frustrated about it, or am I just going to accept that this is part of who they are and then kind of plan ahead for it? So like, somebody's always going to be 15 minutes late, bring a book. Have a podcast to listen to, have a game to play, or you also show up 15 minutes late. So you can adapt your behavior to match theirs as well, if they're not going to adapt theirs to meet yours. And it's a little bit of a give and take. Like, how much of your behavior do you want to adapt and how much do you not?
So you think that this is not I'm just saying it for listeners because I've never been one of those, like, this is one of those end all be alls if you don't get it together. That's like a light miss on the relationship.
I don't know if I actually think that anything is an end all be all of a relationship. I think a lot of it is how you choose to approach it with the person, how they respond, and then what you choose to do about it and how you want to respond to it. I think that if your caliber for this relationship cannot work because this person is always late, then you are setting yourself up to probably never be in a long-term relationship, because if there's always going to be something. And that, like, someone being late, I don't see as a huge thing. And if it is a huge thing for you, then it's probably because it reminds you of other things that may or may not actually have to do with that person. And then it's like, okay, do you want to work on that thing and fix it so that you don't respond the same? Or do you just want to end every relationship that starts with someone being late?
Oh, so you think that that's like a systemic thing where they're just like trying to sabotage the relationship because of this tiny little minuscule issue that you're having, and you mask it. You're like, oh, I don't want, he's late, I'm out. Or like, one tooth is crooked, I'm out. Like one of those things.
Yeah, I don't know if I would necessarily call that like sabotaging. It could be sabotaging. I don't know. When I think of sabotaging, I think of something as being conscious. And I don't know if people are necessarily always conscious that they're doing that when they're doing it. I think that they're just thinking like, oh, this person is late. I hate it when people are late. I'm not doing this. And they don't necessarily think of it in those terms of like, I have to find a reason or this person has to be perfect. But in some ways, that is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I need someone to check all of these boxes. It's just not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
I mean, it could happen. The chances are very low that it's going to happen.
Have you seen overall that people are breaking up because of the pandemic? Or because what I've seen is that divorces might be back on the rise. Or do you think that people are working things out?
I think that people are being forced to see things that they did not have to look at before. And that people can approach that in a couple different ways. Do they want to look at that thing and examine it and fix it, or do they want to push it away? And I'm seeing a lot of discontent with men that I do therapy with that are maybe in their 40s or 50s who are now spending a lot more time at home who have kids
Mhm.
and are not, it really changes sort of the dynamic of the household and the relationship because they're suddenly put in these spaces that they're usually not in for 8 to 10 hours a day. So I
Yeah.
think that adds a lot of stress to the relationship. But I think people are really just seeing more aspects of their partner that they didn't have to see before. And like, we don't have to see every aspect of our partner. Like, we don't need to. And people are kind of seeing that now. And then it's like, okay, do I want to manage this or do I just, am I over it and I can't handle it? I do not know how people are managing the pandemic with kids. Like, I live by myself with my dog and it's stressful at times. I'm like, I hardly have time to work out now that I have a dog. I can't imagine like living with kids.
Oh my God. My plan right before a pandemic hit was to close on my house and then adopt foster kids. And I watched two kids one time for 4 hours and I was like, whew, dodged a bullet there.
I mean, that seems like such a jump. What midlife crisis are you going through? You're like, I need to get a house and I need kids and I need them now. I've never heard you mention wanting kids. I've heard you talk about how you cannot have kids and
Yeah.
how men are going to respond to that, knowing that. I've never heard you mention, but I'd really like to have a few.
I've always wanted to adopt children. I just haven't ever shared it because I feel like people always have an opinion about that.
Hmm.
When I worked inside of a gym, you start eating like a protein bar or a snack or something, and every trainer comes over and grabs it out of your hand and reads the nutritional information and then tells you why it's wrong to eat that. And you're like, get the fuck away from me. I don't need your opinions. I'm starving. And that's like times 1,000 about your personal life choices about adopting children, which everyone, maybe they're right. I did that babysitting gig and I was like, whew, I am exhausted. Uh, so, so I don't know. Nobody adopts, not, no one does it. And there's a ton of kids that need it. Tons. Marshall, who's editing this podcast right now, as not as we speak, but he adopted a child, and he's such a good parent. Like you have to have a special kind of heart to do that.
Yeah, I think that for people to be parents, I do think that you need to have kind of a special heart and a selflessness for it. And you have to want to do it. And it's just unfortunate that we are created, biologically created in a way that you can just have one on accident. Because I really think it should be a lot more difficult for people to have kids because so many people end up just having kids because it's the status quo, because it's sort of what's expected as opposed to actually wanting them. My partner has two kids. They are 9. They're twins. He had them with his best friend because they both wanted kids, and they are amazing. They're the most well-behaved, greatest kids ever. Love them to death. I see them one night a week, and I'm like, that's good. It's a lot for me, and it's
I
usually
mean,
when it's the two of them and his two nephews because they live in the same building. So it's the four of them, all within that same age range. It's a lot for me to be around, even for just one night.
well, also you have a job where everyone needs you every hour of the day, and then at the end of the night to be needed by four little loud mouths, which I love loud kid noises when I don't have to manage it, I guess. So it's a lot. I feel like you and I have a very same emotional burden, not burden, burden's the wrong word, but it's a little taxing emotionally what we do. Like you do it physically, but I get everyone that tells me there are issues all day long while they're working out.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was a trainer for a couple months, and I like one of my favorite parts of it was the talking with people, was kind of that aspect of them asking me for advice and talking to me about things, and not even so much the working out. And I only did it for a few months because I was working at Equinox, and these people were paying like $120 to work out with me for an hour, and I was making like $13.50 or something like something ridiculous off of it. And I was like, this is such a waste of my time. And then they want you to like walk around on the floor for minimum wage. when you're like not working so that you're actually there for 40 hours. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it can be very draining. Right now, I am seeing between 31 and 38 patients a week. It is the higher end of, I mean, most therapists that are in private practice are seeing around like 25, but this is the first time that I have been able to make money since like in years. And I'm just like, give me patience, give me patience, give me patience. And because it's like the pandemic, I'm like, I'm just sitting at home. I can do a midnight. Sure, put them in there. I'm not really doing a midnight appointment, but I'm just like packing my days with patients and I love it. And a lot of them, it is a lot of work. I do feel like I'm giving a lot in sessions, but I would say that probably 95% of them, I actually end the session feeling more energized than maybe I did going into it.
Wow. I feel like I've always worn out every therapist I've ever gone to. They're always like, whew, at the end. They're like, oh, it's time. Thank God.
Like, we only have 15 minutes left. We should start wrapping up.
So I had to do like a mental evaluation for my last husband who was getting a green card. And the lady at the end who was like writing it, she goes, you need therapy. I was like, yeah, I know.
That's so fucked up. I love it.
I love her. I wish that she was in my life all the time. She's like this tall. She was a little Jewish lady. I loved her. I was like, you are the best. I wouldn't hire you as a therapist, but I would love you in my life.
Well, I mean, what kind of therapy experiences have you had that you enjoyed, that you felt like you were getting something from?
Our conversations, which are not therapy, but they're you
I mean,
always.
I was not looking for that, but
I
thank you.
know, but I think you're the only honest person. That's everybody else just goes, hmm, and you're like, I have to sort of translate what that means. I fired one lady because she used to have these props for people that were triggered by things, and the props would be like the cupboards in your kitchen, just out and everywhere. And I was like, can you put those away? Like, can you organize the space?
Like she would just have a cupboard in the office space.
There was like a built-in that I could see that was behind her, and it would just have like toys. Like I remember a rubber ducky that was just like hanging on by a thread off the counter, and I was like, when you're done with your prop, why don't you just put it in the cabinet that is just below where you put it on the shelf? Like, slide it in there.
See, and if someone said that to me in therapy, I'd be like, wow, so you really like to tell other people what they need to be doing with their lives, huh? So you really like to control situations. What's it like for you when you're not in control?
I do have control issues. I know, but I didn't tell her to change anything. I just knew that she wasn't for me. I was like, I can't.
Okay, so I think that actually goes back to the people being late thing. Is I wonder if there are things in your life that you just don't address and just automatically think like this is not for me and then walk away from it as opposed to kind of addressing it.
Yeah, a lot of things. I think it's easier. Like, for instance, I was booked on a radio show for today and they had to bump me again. And it was the second time that it happened. And because I don't live full time in New York anymore, I have to arrange to be here. And I am very schedule oriented. Like I won't be able to take clients in the afternoon because of the radio show. And so you lose out on a lot of income, which I don't know if anybody's been in a pandemic before, but you can't lose out on income right now. So it was the second time they bumped me, and he texted me and he was like, can you do this day or this day instead of tomorrow? And I said, nope. And then because we had already confirmed, I confirmed with him in the morning just to make sure. And then he was like, what about these 2 days? And I was like, no. And then I was like, so not tomorrow. It's what I wrote. And then he wrote back, no, sorry, there's been a shift, blah, blah, blah. And I said, don't ask me again. I was like, I've made arrangements. My schedule is set. I've lost a lot of income because of this. Please just leave me off your roster. So maybe, yes, maybe I do that.
Well, it sounds like in that scenario, you did address it, but it does sound like it was coming from a place of anger and frustration. And I'm guessing that there's like another emotion maybe under that. So like when you keep getting bumped from something, is
Mhm,
that hurtful to you? Is that sad to you? Because anger and frustration are generally secondary emotions, which
mhm,
are defensive emotions to protect you from whatever the primary emotion is. Anger can be a primary emotion, but it's generally only a primary emotion if it's objectively something that someone would respond to anger with. For example, someone coming up and punching you in the face. Like, you're not going to look at someone that punched you in the face and be like, that really hurt my feelings when you did that. Like, no, you're going to be pissed and respond.
yeah, maybe I didn't really feel sad. I felt a little disappointed the first time. The second time, I really was just like, they really are disregarding the effort that I have to make to do this show.
Which sounds to me a little bit like hurt and a little bit like sad. Like, if they're disregarding me, they're not valuing me.
Mhm. Maybe I physically feel it sad differently than it really feels. Because you know how you physically feel emotions?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I just don't know how to discern between sad and I'm disappointed in you.
It seems to me that you are someone who does not like to feel vulnerable.
Oh, no.
And being hurt and being sad, that takes some vulnerability, and it can be really easy when we feel vulnerable to kind of cover that with defensiveness, because when we're vulnerable, we're like, people could hurt us, I need to defend myself, I need to protect myself. And one way that people protect themselves is by frustration, by being angry. And I would put disappointed kind of on the same spectrum as sad, just like on like a lower end of
Mhm.
maybe sad.
Was that a poor way to handle that? I felt like it was better boundaries.
No, I would. I would not necessarily say that it was a bad way to handle it. I think it's about how you feel about it after. And if you're looking at it as, I set boundaries, then I think that's good for you if you need practice in setting boundaries.
Oh, I need practice saying no. Yes.
I think that a lot of the things that I talk about with people with their behaviors are not, is it a good decision or a bad decision? It's, was it a default decision, or was it a decision that you thought about and made? Because the issue can be is when people are just going on default all the time, then there's no change, then there's no movement, then
Mhm,
there's no thought process. It's, I felt this thing, I reacted. And if you want to change how you're behaving, then you have to look at what your reactions are. So you can respond whatever way you want, as long as it's, maybe not just the default, because that's just what I do.
mhm. Interesting.
I want to go back to one thing that you said before I lose it, because I think that it's really helpful. You mentioned like leaving this therapist without talking to your therapist about why you were leaving, is what it sounded like. You just kind of quit.
Correct.
I have friends that regularly call me and ask me, like, hey, is my therapist a bad therapist? And they want to tell me about what has happened in their session and be like, do you think this is good? Do you think this is bad?
Mhm,
And my response is always like, I think you need to talk to your therapist about it. And that's what people avoid doing. And that I encourage them to do, and that I try to encourage my patients to do from the beginning. If I've
mhm.
said or done anything that has not sat with you, let's bring it up. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Because that is part of the process in learning to not avoid conflict.
I think that you're unique in that where you say that up front because I did befriend a therapist on Instagram who incorporates fitness into his therapy because it's with veterans, and he asked me often, what's your can you tell me about an experience that you hated? Can you tell me about?" He's like, I'm trying to grow and I want my patients to have a good experience. I'm like, interesting. I was like, I think that's what separates you guys from people that just float on, you know?
I try to be very direct with my patients, which I think is sometimes, unique. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But I think that I create an atmosphere in which when I'm wrong, the patient feels comfortable telling me like I disagree with that and I don't think that's right.
Mhm.
And I think that if you are someone who is in therapy and thinking about switching your therapist, I think you should talk to your therapist about it. But if it is a good therapist, they are going to be able to have that discussion with you about what's going on. What is that like for you? What is it that you want to change? What is it that needs to be brought up? Are you avoiding conflict? Do you often walk away from other things when you want to walk away from something? What happens for you? And can help you to address that conflict. A bad therapist is going to be like, no, you need to stay. This is working. That's not going to be helpful. If there's a patient that doesn't want to work with me anymore, like that's fine. I can let them go. I have a wait list. I'll bring other people in. But I want to be able to process that and have a discussion with them about it because it could be part of a larger pattern.
Yeah.
And is it that, like, I don't know, are your needs not being met in therapy? How are you letting your therapist know that your needs are not being met? Is it just that it's not being met and you don't say anything? Or is it that you want to tell them that and see how they respond?
Told you, I think, on the last episode that I thought you were wrong, and you were not wrong about anything, not to fluff up your ego or anything. But I knew in the moment, I was like, he's wrong. And there were some things I was like, eh. But then, you get a year away from it and you're like, oh, weird. He was right about it all.
Well, and I think that anytime that you have a big response to something and want to go, oh, that's wrong, that's probably some defensiveness. And that does not mean that I'm always right. I'm sure that I'm wrong sometimes. But when you have a gut reaction that's just like, nope, 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 that's wrong, that's wrong. Like that's a defense mechanism that's trying to protect you. I will ask patients when they have that response. I'm like, that was a quick response. What just happened for you there? Because there's a difference there between someone pausing and going, I don't know if that's quite right. I think it might be more like this as opposed to nope, absolutely not. You're like, I don't know that. That response actually tells me that it might be.
Also, this might be a good takeaway for like regular conversations or conflict. And when you feel something that you want to just jump on, taking a breath and going, this doesn't feel right, but what are we all feeling here?
Yeah. Something just happened, and I want
to murder you and bludgeon you in your carotid, but I'm gonna take a breath and.
If there is one thing that I could encourage everyone in the entire world to do, it would simply be more curious. Be curious about your experience. Be curious about other people's experiences before you respond to things. Just be curious about what's happening. Ask people questions. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't try to mind read. Just like engage with people in a way where you don't already think you know everything.
I think that's going to be hard for everyone.
It is.
And I hate to separate out women, but we women are born into this culture where we're like, you have to go on the first date and imagine what your wedding is like. You're like 50 dates down the road on your first date. It's like, hey, can we teach our kids to just chill? Like, chill the fuck out. Enjoy the person. See if you enjoy them. Do you like their smell? Because apparently that's a big deal in relationships.
You say that like someone who has been told that you smell terrible. Apparently the way you smell matters. As you're like smelling your pits and disgusted.
I smell, thank God I don't, I just genuflected. I don't make a smell. I don't have like a stink. Oh, thank you, Jesus Lord. But I think you told me that I just might be attracted to the other person's smell.
So, I mean, pheromones definitely play a big role in our attractions to people. Absolutely. Smell can be a big thing for people.
Does your boyfriend stink?
No. Or 7 years.
I know, but I don't know.
He showers like 3 times a day, though.
Oh, that's so hot.
You can follow his OnlyFans at. No, just kidding.
Dave, who I'm dating, he gets like he has we call it his window. Did he miss his deodorant window? He misses it often, but I love it. I'm like, God, you stink. I love it.
I've definitely been attracted to scent before and then been turned off by scent as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like bad BO is just whew, it's not good.
See, it's not even the BO to me. There are other, although I guess I don't think I've really dated anyone who just like consistently had like smelled bad. I honestly can't even think of a time where I've dated someone where they smelled bad. Maybe I just don't remember. But there are sometimes certain
You're like too hot.
just like pheromones that people have. Wait, what? I don't even understand what that's supposed to mean.
So like you're like, you have an odor. You're just like, that doesn't belong in my hot zone.
Yeah, that's my late thing. You're not late, but you have an odor. Goodbye.
We all like different perfumes, right? We all different like colognes. I don't like any, but yes, I'm not a big fan. Did you used to wear cologne? I think I used to wear like a sunflower one when I was young. I was like, ooh, this is so good. And then
I'm fairly certain that in the late 90s, I also wore CK1
I was
like
gonna say
everyone else.
CK1.
Like, I'm pretty sure that I bought into Mark Wahlberg's abs the same way everyone else did.
Oh, and who was the other guy? The other one, the music video that only showed the abs for the whole time, and then just like the bottom of his face. You know what I'm talking about? Is
I
like
have
that
no idea.
Oh, I'm gonna post it on. I gotta find. It's like DeAndre, I think.
I have no idea.
I'll find it.
DeAndre? I remember, wasn't there like a D'Angelo?
D'Angelo. Yes, that's who it. Oh, remember those abs? He was a CK1
You
guy.
know, I remember being a very horny middle school slash high schooler that would watch these like music videos and like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all these people that I thought were in such amazing shape. You go back and watch those videos now and you're like, oh no, they're preteens. Like, this is disgusting. But you're just so like, the hormones are so crazy that you're like, yeah.
Justin Timberlake's body was just curly hair. It was like curly hair, like this weird Slender Man thing that followed him.
And they were like,
loved him.
They were objectified as sex symbols.
The Jonas Brothers. That happened to them too. I was watching their little documentary. I was like, people want to fuck them? They're children.
Yeah.
Children.
And they're not like the other children that want to have sex with them. It's like older people that probably should not want to are turned on by it. It's just interesting to look back on it because I remember being like, wow, their bodies are amazing. And now I look at it and I'm like, oh, no, they're just like in good shape for that age.
They've got a good haircut. It makes it so much hotter. It's like when your significant other comes home with a fresh haircut, you're like, wow, you look good. And then it grows out.
and then it's over and I have to end the relationship. Mara, this is a pattern. This is a pattern.
Okay, so another topic I want to get into. Do you do anything with like fitness or nutrition with your people? Because
no.
I've been reading a lot. I've been reading. What about for your own study? About the serotonin, how it's produced in your gut?
So I'm actually not very familiar with that. So my PhD is in health psychology and clinical science. So I do have a more holistic approach that I take with my patients. So it's not just about their mental health, it's also about their physical health because the two are interconnected so much. But I do not necessarily talk to them specifically about like working out and dietary needs unless I'm working with someone who has an eating disorder.
Yeah. Do you think that it would be helpful to talk about those things? Do you think that, because I feel like my mood does get down and then all of a sudden I'm like, when was the last time I ate? And then I'm like, oh, go eat. That's like my big thing. I'm like a toddler. I think a lot of people are.
So things like that do come up, and I don't approach them directly. One of the things that I do with CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is I have people keep tracks of their patterns, including like when an event happens, what the emotion is that they had, what they physically sensed in their body, what thoughts they were having, how they behaved. And then a lot of times things like that will come up where they will notice like, I realized I hadn't had any food to eat in 7 hours. Or, you asked me if I was really taking care or how else I was taking care of myself. And I noticed that like I skip lunch all the time. So things like that do organically come up. I try not to go into any session with an agenda,
Mm-hmm.
sort of any new patient, I should say, because I do go into all my sessions with sort of an agenda that's part of CBT. But I don't go into every patient with sort of a set thing of this is what I want to accomplish with this person. If someone is telling me about I don't know, divorce that they're going through and they're crying about it, it's going to be fucking so weird for me to be like, but when was the last time you had a salad? Have you had a salad? They're going to be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm crying about my divorce. I don't give a fuck about a salad. And although it could be helpful for them to have a salad, it, someone recently said to me, somebody at the practice that I work for said, you get 0 points for being correct, and you get all of the points for being helpful. And it doesn't matter what you say to someone if they don't perceive it as helpful. It doesn't matter if it's correct. Like thinking back to the episode that we did with your ex, like those things that I said at the time were probably not helpful. I may have been correct in what I said. I don't remember exactly what I said. And looking back on it, you seem to think that some of it was correct. But at the time, it wasn't helpful because it maybe wasn't what you needed or wanted to hear. And the same thing sort of like happens in therapy. So I could talk to people about all of those things and maybe I'm right, but they're going to be like, who the fuck cares? Because they haven't bought onto that.
I don't know. Maybe was in a different place. I mean, I definitely thought about the things that you said for a long time. I still do. And it changed my next relationship for sure. I mean, I went through, I was like, will he hold my hand? And I just reached out and he holds my hand all the time. Even when we're sleeping, if my hand gets close to it, he grabs my hand. I'm like, oh my God, which I love. But I was trying to make a bad relationship work, and I didn't want to hear. I'm very solutions based. I'm like, no, tell me how to make it work. And you were basically saying, it's not going to work, sister. 'Cause
I
you have this over here and he has this way over here. So how do you think you're going to get together? And I was like, what are you saying?
and really, I wasn't trying to say you can't make it work because I do a lot of couples work, and I'm not great at predicting from the first session if a relationship is going to work or not.
Mhm.
I may have some ideas, and then a lot of the time I'm really surprised because people have to be willing to make changes. And
Mhm.
I think one thing that I was kind of seeing with you and this individual, George, is that it didn't sound like he was willing to make any changes or didn't want to make those changes.
Correct.
And that is something that's very important. I do think that I'm going to go out on a limb and say that all relationships have the potential to get better and to change, aside from things that are physically abusive. I would even say verbally abusive. There can be change there, but both people have to be wanting to make change. And if only one person wants to make change or neither person is willing to budge at all, it's probably not going to happen, at least right now, until people are ready to.
Mhm. I feel like that is a great piece of advice for our nation also at this time.
Mm.
I feel like the entire country is a bit divisive. Like it's going, we're the George and Maras of we're all over here. Like, oh, Let's find a way. I feel like this applies to everything, to work, to life, to your relationships, to politics. I think, this is, you need to find, you need to communicate and give a little.
And you need to communicate with your primary emotions. Your primary emotions being your eyes just got so big. You're like, fuck that. you're you were like, your primary emotions being happiness, sadness, hurt, surprise, joy, anger can be one. It's generally a secondary emotion. And there's one other emotion that I am forgetting in there. And it just isn't coming to me right now because I'm on the spot. Because I put myself on the spot and now I'm not able to handle the spotlight. But you need to be communicating with those primary emotions. I think that one of the big things that comes up with couples is that someone is experiencing a primary emotion and then they respond by trying to defend themselves with anger or frustration, which then becomes an attack. And then the other person, instead of understanding what the other person is going through and what their primary emotion is, they respond by trying to defend themselves because they think they're being attacked. When really the first person just wants the other person to acknowledge what it was that they were feeling. So if people can just stay really close to each other's experiences and their emotion and try to understand them before they start to defend themselves, your relationship will get so much better. But that does take work.
The other night I was in bed and I'm dog sitting and I have Frank, obviously you know him, and he is always on top of me. And so is this other dog. I don't know if you...
I can see.
He is up my asshole 100% of the time, and I can't sleep in new places very well. And both dogs were physically on top of me, and the bed, we tilted it up a little bit. It's one of those cool Tempur-Pedic. I don't know. The only people that have them are 95-year-olds and my clients. And so I was like crunched up and I had the dogs on me, and I woke up and I was yelling at the dogs, but Dave thought I was yelling at him. And I was like, this is not happening again. I was like, but I think I yelled it, and he was like, why are you being such a cunt right now? And then he just imitated me, which snapped me out of it. And I was like, I wasn't even talking to you, but he thought I was yelling. And I was like, this could have been a huge fight had he not taken a breath.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great example of how something small can turn into something really big really quickly if we're not close to the other person's experience, if we're just reacting. So I'm going to say something to you that I say to many of my patients.
You have to go.
So we're done here. No, I'm always like, so we need to start wrapping up.
This is what all my therapists say.
Well, we can discuss that next time.
I have you on again and talk about how to interview a therapist and how, like, what's a good experience, what's a bad experience.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so tell us your podcast, tell us where you find you.
So I have a podcast with Justin Perez. It is called The Obsessibles. Each week we dive into something that we are obsessed with and push it on the other person and the audience. It's fun. I like it. He and I both have large collections of random shit. And we like to force each other to be enthused about the thing that we're enthused about. So if you're a dork, it's great. You can follow me on Instagram at Whitfield PhD. It is a private account because I don't like my patients to follow me. However, if you send me a request, I will accept you. And that's my stuff.
Okay, awesome. And please follow Happy Never After at HNA Pod on Instagram and on Twitter. I changed it. I'm changing it to HNA, the name of the show. We're evolving. Follow me directly at Mara Merrick and follow all of the shows at Be Frank Network. We're hoping to get Dr. Thomas Whitfield over onto the Be Frank Network very soon. So stay tuned for that. All right. Thank you. Have fun in your next session.
Okay. My next session.